On the various lists everywhere on top 10 FPS games, Bioshock is typically on there. It's for a good reason. Well, multiple reasons. And those are what I'm going to be discussing in this week's review. But where in the hell do I start? I could start with the story, but that's the problem. The game is so heavy on the storyline that I fear I'd divulge a ton of spoilers. Let's see if I can give you a real quick basic of the plot. You play as a guy named Jack who is on a plane traveling. It's unsure where exactly your main guy is going, but it really doesn't matter, because mere seconds into the intro, the plane goes down into the ocean. Your character manages to escape the falling debris and surfaces to find a hell of a sight. In the distance you find a lighthouse, so naturally you swim over there. Entering a small submersible pod known as a bathysphere, which surprised me because according to my spell check, bathysphere is an actual word, you'll submerge into a massive, breathtaking undersea city known as Rapture. Rapture was created by a man named Andrew Ryan, who to me, looks like Tom Hanks' character in Road to Perdition. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, as soon as you try to emerge from this bathysphere, a character that's on the outside is jumped by a strange creature, who kills that character. The creature, known as a splicer, teases you for a bit, and then you can finally get out of that pod. From here you'll be tangled up in what is essentially a civil war between Andrew Ryan and a man known as Atlas. There's a lot more to this, but I don't want to spoil it for you, because again, the story is a huge part of the game and is completely engrossing. So as Jack, you'll be doing tasks for Atlas, trying to overthrow the dictator Andrew Ryan. Along the way, you'll be assaulted primarily by splicers. These were inhabitants of Rapture that engaged in the practice of using a substance known as Atom to alter their genetic structure. Due to them abusing the Atom, they went completely batshit crazy, and some of them began to mutate a little bit. Some of them could disappear and reappear elsewhere, while at the same time throwing fireballs at you. Others, like the original splicer you saw at the entrance to Rapture, can climb on the ceiling and throw hooks at you. As you progress through the game, you'll notice that these splicers can take a little bit more damage and can deal with a few more beatings with your wrench. To combat this, you have plasmids. See, the splicers aren't the only ones who can take advantage of this Atom. Only minutes into the first area of the game, you'll encounter a door that refuses to open. By heading upstairs, you'll encounter a plasmid, which can be thought of as the magic spells of the game. The first one that you deal with is an electric shock that gets propelled from your fingertips. This can be used to give power to certain door panels, opening them up. More importantly, you can use it to shock splicers, paralyzing them for a few seconds. You can also spark water, causing area damage to anyone standing in it. Having lightning fingers isn't the only plasmid you get access to. They range from a ton of different ones, in several categories. Some are offensive, like throwing fire or summoning a cyclone, to even telekinesis. Others deal with hacking objects, which I'll get to in a little bit. Some of them enhance your combat skills, like swinging a wrench quicker, having a higher defense, or even allowing you to heal more of your wounds with a single health kit. Of course, you can't use these plasmids without consequence. You have that blue bar under your health. The plasmids are powered by something called Eve. Most plasmids use up a ton of it every time you use it, and Eve hypos can be used to regenerate it. They are found in various locations, but will automatically be used when your Eve is depleted. You can also manually inject yourself with Eve by pressing the reload key when a plasmid is selected. Also, you are limited to 3 plasmids at the start of the game, but this capacity is increased to a maximum of 6 by spending Atom. So, how do you get this Atom? Your primary method is to encounter little sisters. These are little girls that are running around with giant needles. By walking up to them, you can either harvest them, which I've honestly never done, but it gives you a ton of Atom, or rescuing them, which gives you a little bit less Atom, but a bit more of a fuzzy feeling in your gut. Plus another character, Tenenbaum, will give you a few gifts for saving her girls. There's a bit more story with the little sisters, but again, I don't want to spoil it for you. Perhaps I should add that in order to get to these little sisters, you're first going to have to deal with the Guardians, called the Big Daddies. These big bastards are hulking beasts in diving suits. They can kill you in seconds. In addition, they can take a hell of a lot of bullets. However, persistence will prevail, and you'll eventually take them down. Eventually. Maybe I'm getting too far ahead of myself, because maybe by now you're confused. Atom, Eve, plasmids, splicers, little daddies, and big sisters? What the hell am I talking about? And yes, I said little daddies and big sisters. It's a joke, trying to confuse you. Never mind. Anyway, splicers and big daddies aren't the only things you'll encounter in Rapture. You'll find a small handful of robotic devices that tend to attack you. Security cameras hang on a few of the walls, and if they spot you, they'll send an endless barrage of flying turrets at you for about a minute. You can override the security alert by finding one of the panels on the wall and paying $20. Any flying drones will then drop to the ground, and you'll be able to hack them to work for you. In addition, you'll encounter 2 types of ground turrets. One which spits bullets and the other that fires rockets. The rocket ones are fun because you can use your telekinesis ability to fling rockets back to sender. Fun stuff. So with so much shit trying to gun you down, how can you possibly defend yourself? Well, I already mentioned the plasmids. But of course, being that this is a first-person shooter, you do need guns, right? Well, you do get access to a few. The first weapon you find, in true Half-Life fashion, is a wrench. It may not be a crowbar, but it does the job. Second is a pistol, a standard 6-shooter. You'll be using this a lot, as you can typically take down a few of the earlier splicers in 1 or 2 shots, but later on you'll need a few more. Next you find a Tommy gun, which is fun to use, but just like any machine gun, you can eat up ammo quickly. You'll also procure a shotgun, a grenade launcher, a flamethrower, and a crossbow. In addition, you'll find use with a camera, but I'll get to that soon. Each of these weapons have their own uses. Crossbows do a ton of damage and can lay down traps, but take a while to set up between each shot. The grenade launcher is helpful against big daddies, but ammo is fairly limited, especially if using proximity mines or the heat-seeking RPGs. Oh wait, did I just mention ammo types? Each weapon has 3 different ammo types. This helps you choose different options depending on the situation. If you're up against the big daddy, you should probably use armor-piercing or electric ammo. Splicers are vulnerable to anti-personnel ammo. Most of the special ammo is invented by using a new invent station, but you can also find it laying around or search corpses for the stuff. Searching is a big part of the game. Shown all over Rapture are containers and corpses holding valuable loot. The valuables themselves range from simple cash to junk used to invent items to even ammo or story-relaying recorders. You'll want to take the time to scavenge everything you can, regardless on whether or not you need it. You can always come back later to pick up any supplies you left behind. Before I continue on, there's another way to defend yourself a bit. You can hack any enemy device to put them on your side. If you hack a flying bot or turret, it'll fire at any splicers in its view. If you hack a security camera, any splicers it catches will send out an alarm. There'll be a never-ending horde of flying bots, but the tables will have been turned, and they'll now attack on your side. Sweetness. To hack these devices, you'll be given a small minigame. You have to switch around pipes to make sure that the liquid goes from the start to the finish without getting interrupted. Do so, and the device is unlocked. If you fail by simply having it go off track, you'll suffer a little bit of damage. There's 2 other hazards to avoid. One will deal out much more damage if you run into it, and the other will actually cause the security alarm to start. You can also hack safes to open them, or vending machines to unlock some objects, and also to lower prices. If you don't want to constantly be hacking things, you can choose to buy out the device, which is basically paying to hack the device. You can also use the auto hack tool, which does exactly as the name sounds. So about this film-based camera that you acquire. How exactly is a camera useful in a world such as Rapture? Well, you use it to research your enemies. Basically, as you encounter enemies, you're going to want to take a second to whip out the camera and take a good picture. After snapping one, you'll see the pic and be graded on it. As you fill up the bar, you'll unlock several different perks and extra plasmids. Typically, your first level unlocks more damage taken to that specific splicer. After that, it can range from even more damage to special perks that will give you more damage resistance to even getting free plasmids. After obtaining 5 different perks on a splicer, the research level on there is maxed out, and you will no longer be able to take any more pictures of that splicer. Sure, you don't need to use the camera system, but with all the perks available, it's best to try it out. It's unique, and it works well. That's not the only thing either. You can also upgrade some of your weapons. You can find Power to the People machines, which can add a new feature to one of your weapons. You need to choose carefully, as each machine shuts down after being used. Typically, your upgrades include a damage upgrade and one other possibility. This ranges from a much higher clip capacity for the pistol to faster reloading for the shotgun, or even sturdier bolts. These upgrades are necessary because although the game starts off simple enough, later on, the game starts getting pretty difficult. The splicers take way too much damage, and you don't seem to have enough health packs to keep yourself alive. Thankfully, at this point, money is probably plentiful, so you can easily buy ammo and health from vending machines. Plus, I still haven't talked about the respawn system. Basically, you have machines called the Vita Chambers. Whenever you fall, you resurrect at the nearest one with half of your health restored. There is no other penalty for death. You just respawn. With this, you can technically do nothing but running around with just your wrench and finish the game. Well, other than the final boss, because there's no Vita Chamber in that final stage. If you die there, you get kicked back to the main screen, where you can reload the previous save. You are warned before proceeding past this point, though. The best part of the game, along with the storyline, is the atmosphere. Rapture feels like a believable town. You can look out the window and see lights and other buildings through the ocean. With the audio tapes that you can find, you can also see there's a few backstories that further elaborate how Rapture started to fall apart. There are also a few times where you'll see some of the structure falling apart, bringing in torrents of water. It's really awesome looking. Of course, since it's a near barren place, there are a few creepy moments. The intro part with the spider splicer is scary enough, but the best example was when you encounter an artist named Sander Cohen. This guy's been using people as art, and has been covering them in what looks to be either paper mache or plaster. He molds them into positions of his choosing. You eventually have to kill a few of his enemies, to which he'll then sculpt a little bit. It's a very strange objective, and you can't help wonder at this point if your mission is heading in the right direction. That's really all I have for Bioshock. It's an extremely fun game that is a must-play for any FPS fan. I would even dare say that it's a perfect game. The splicers are a great enemy type, the story is engrossing, and the weapon system works excellently. The atmosphere is also engaging and makes it really feel like you're walking around in Rapture. It would have been interesting to see an environment like this in its heyday. Maybe a potential sequel? Guess we'll have to find out. Final score? 10 out of 10. This is Reaper. Facebook.com/ReapersReviews. Happy fragging.